Now back to the show. This is The Law Show on CL 650.
Bring your lawyer and I'll bring mine. Get together, we could have a bad time.
That's George Harrison with the Sue Me, Sue You blues. Little legal music here. It's The Law Show on CL 650. Our guests in studio from Murphy Batista, Joe Murphy, QC, and Derek Ma. And Joe, tell us a little bit about the approach that Murphy Batista uses with some of its clients, people who come to you who are genuinely bashed up and who are going to need considerable recovery assistance. You take their cases and you go beyond that and you help them personally a lot.
Well, what we do, Sterling, whether it's a soft tissue injury or another injury, is we ensure that they get the treatment they need. So for a soft tissue injury, commonly physio is needed. There's a physio user fee that the person coming in has to pay. It's $25 or $30. And for a person who's off work, that's a real hardship. In fact, sometimes it's a barrier.
Yep.
So we make arrangements so that the person doesn't have to pay that user fee. With people whose recovery's not going very well, we arrange for them to see a specialist. Maybe it's a rheumatologist or a rehab specialist, and we want that doctor's input into what we can do, what can be done to make the recovery go better.
Okay.
And we have experts like that we can get our clients in to see, usually within weeks as opposed to months if they got a referral through the family doctor. So we're there to make sure that they get the treatment they need, to make sure they maximize their recovery. And at the end of the day, we need to understand what the long-term impact of that injury was. So this evidence is all helpful to us at the end of the day.
Exactly. And, of course, it also represents a tremendous commitment on the part of the firm to the well-being of the individuals. Derek, talk to us a little bit about fraud in soft tissue injuries. It seems to be an area in which fraud could be active, and we see it in the paper occasionally. You see it on TV, the guy who's claiming an injury, and then he gets followed by the private detective, and you see him take off the neck collar, and he's out rolling around in the backyard with the dog and all of this stuff, and then puts the collar on and goes back to work or whatever. I mean, how much of that is out there, really?
Oh, Sterling, it absolutely happens. And in my experience as a defense lawyer, I saw that firsthand. And there was a claim being made, and someone said, I can't be on all fours. And surveillance video showed this person on all fours vacuuming the back of her SUV out. So it is there, it's alive, and that's likely why ICBC is so skeptical of what everybody's claim. They think everybody's trying to fraud the system.
And it's the hard-to-prove soft tissue injury category that would seem almost to invite this sort of gamesmanship.
Absolutely, because you can't prove that. You can't see it, and you're looking at somebody's credibility at that point. Do I believe them that they're having pain and they've been hurt, or do I think they're exaggerating it or even making it all up?
Right. And, Joe, you've had people try to get you to represent them in this reprehensible behavior.
Sterling, the case that comes to mind is this older woman, short, squat, involved in a bad head-on collision, soft tissue injuries. She would describe to me how limited she was, how restricted she was. And on the eve of trial, ICBC sent me a little video clip or a movie showing her cutting the back grass in her house. And I'm watching this thinking, well, she can do this. It's level. It was an electric mower or power mower.
Right.
And they had these big decorative barrels in their backyard. And I expected when she got to the barrel that she would cut around and then continue on. Instead, she picked this barrel up with her two hands. Now, I don't think I could pick this barrel up.
Oh, no.
These were big, big barrels. Picked it up, hoisted it, moved it, cut the grass, and then hoisted it and put it back. And I just thought, this woman hasn't been telling me the truth. She hasn't been telling the doctors the truth. She's not telling ICBC the truth. So I settled her case because for what it was worth, there's no way I would go to court with a client like that.
Well, but I suppose it must have been almost unnerving, the fact that it got so close to the actual trial. She really conned you, didn't she?
She did, and over time as a lawyer, you develop a sense for clients that you can accept and believe in and trust. and those that you probably can't. And we try and at the first meeting identify that other group and say at the end of the meeting, I'm sorry, we're not going to act for you.
Interesting.
We
stuff.
don't need those clients. The system doesn't need fraudulent clients. It costs everybody, you and me and everybody who drives a car, money that shouldn't be spent on that. There's too many people seriously injured who are entitled to the money, not the people who are the fraudsters.
Right. And Derek, though, back to our original point in this whole discussion about soft tissue injuries, even good lawyers like Joe Murphy occasionally get conned by pretty clever artists. Nonetheless, your years of experience and the reputation of the firm speak for themselves. So let's talk again as we wrap things up this morning about when to call a lawyer and why. I hurt. I'm not the same, and it happened last week. Is that already too late, or am I about on schedule?
No, call us as early as you can, because it will never hurt to just hear what we have to say, and we'll be very candid with our advice, whether you need to hire a lawyer now or if you can just wait and hire us in 6 months if something does go wrong or it gets worse.
And that initial contact point, Joe, a lot of them take place on the phone or by email in some cases. Well, they don't have to see you face-to-face, although there's no problem with that either, right?
Yes, over time it's shifting more and more to email, but phone conversations are common. And in 10 minutes we can tell the person, here's what you do, here's what you don't do, and here's what you need to do in terms of calling us back if things don't turn out well for you.
What is the most common mistake we make when we try to do it without a lawyer? What's the big number one blunder?
I'd say settling a case too soon.
Okay.
Before there's full recovery, and that means return to all your normal activities without any symptoms.
Okay, so again, in terms of, and Derek, again, drawing on your physiotherapist background, we generally can feel ourselves when things are starting to come around. That knot in my shoulder, that is starting to loosen up. I'm feeling more like my old self. That's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, that's what we want. We want that, but we want that on a long-term basis. Not that that's just happened for a day, and I feel great, let's settle our claim. Make sure it's like that, for a few months before you start to look at trying to settle your claim.
Right, and even, Joe, in a straightforward, cut and dried, as they like to say, claim, it's still not going to hurt anyone to call a lawyer before the cut and dried solution, which is usually pretty quick and pretty civil.
It costs nothing, and it's wise to get the information that helps the person make decisions about how they want to deal with their claim.
The website, by the way, friends, MurphyBattista.com, and Battista is Battista. Murphy, you can figure out all by yourself. It's MurphyBattista.com. All of the contact points for Derek and Joe and all of their colleagues, all of the information, email addresses, telephone numbers, it's all on the website, and we do encourage you to take advantage of their services, and that first free call is pretty darn tempting. Derek Ma, good to see you again. Thanks for coming by. Joe Murphy, wonderful to have you again, sir.
Thank you, Sterling.
This is The Law Show on CIL 650. Stand by for Red Robinson and the Red Rock Diner.